I'm sexy, I'm cute, I'm popular to boot.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass. We're gonna die.
Welcome back to Shat The Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday nights searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me are my co-hosts, Ash Nightwolf Kang.
Hi, y'all.
And Big D Dick Ebert.
Get over here.
Each week, we take a look back in time and decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, or want to choose one for yourself, please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with the number of wipes each movie would take to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV. We review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all the information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And for everybody who's reached out and asked if we're doing The Last of Us, we're not, but we really, really appreciate you thinking of us when you're watching TV. It's so flattering to hear, but we are dedicated to doing the movies and getting these out on time for all the listeners who have backed up their commissions all the way into 2024. Finally, to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are we reviewing tonight?
Gene, it's funny that you mention The Last of Us, because tonight's film, which one of our great listeners, Ryley, commissioned, is a video game adaptation. I'd be lying if I said I was excited, but she asked us, so we went back to 1997 to review Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Hi guys, Ryley here. I hope you guys had a good Christmas and have a happy new year. So Mortal Kombat Annihilation, where do I start with this amazing piece of cinema? It, honest to God, is my favorite movie. No, granted, you have to realize that I am a stoner, and I am more high than I am sober half the time, so my movie taste isn't really good to go off of. But the first time I saw this movie, I would have been about 10 years old. I had a sleepover with my brother and his friends, and we decided to have a great movie night and watch the great double feature of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, followed by The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I don't remember much about the first time I watched it, other than I really enjoyed it because I was a stupid kid. And now that I'm older, I know that it's a terrible, terrible movie. But it's one of those movies that you can just put on, watch whenever you're bored, and just sit there and not even think about the world. It's the kind of movie I throw on when I'm sad. The last time I watched it was at the beginning of 2022, when I had just moved out of my parents' place for the first time and wanted a comfort movie. Mortal Kombat Annihilation was what I went with. I know Ash mentioned she's a Mortal Kombat fan, so I'm curious what she's going to say about it. And Big D, I hope you don't get too upset over the tournament bracket or lack thereof. Granted, this isn't much of a tournament. It's more just like guys going around beating people up until their tattoos fly off people's bodies. It's stupid. Don't question it. Don't question the stupid movie. If I was going to take a shot in the dark, I'd guess that Ash gives it a 3, Big D gives it a 4, Gene gives it a 4. I'm probably completely wrong, but I'm going to stay in that ballpark. For me, when I'm high, it's a 1. And when I'm sober, it's a 4. Anyway, you guys have a great one. Take care. Your pal, Ryley.
Now, Ryley, I got very, very drunk for Caveman. I'm not going to give Mortal Kombat Annihilation the same treatment, and that's only because I think I'll get angrier if I were to get drunk or high while reviewing this movie. Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a 1997 martial arts fantasy film by John R. Leonetti in his directorial debut. Based on the Mortal Kombat video game franchise, it is the second installment in the Mortal Kombat film series and a sequel to the original 1995 film, of which Leonetti served as cinematographer. Largely an adaptation of the video game Mortal Kombat 3, Annihilation follows Liu Kang and his allies as they attempt to stop the malevolent Shao-Kahn from conquering Earthrealm. Released at theaters on November 21st, 1997, Mortal Kombat Annihilation was panned by critics for its story, characters, and special effects. That's pretty much the whole movie. It was also a commercial failure, grossing $51 million against a $30 million budget. Due to the film's poor critical and commercial response, a direct sequel was canceled. A third Mortal Kombat film languished in development hell for nearly 2 decades until the series was rebooted with the 2021 installment. So Big D, Ash, we always ask where you were when you saw the movie and what your memories are of it. As crazed as I was for the original Mortal Kombat movie and the 2021 reboot, Annihilation was a movie that my friends and I rented on DVD, and I'm pretty sure I stopped watching it like halfway through as a teenager. I'm not sure I hated it. I don't think I realized how bad it was at the time. I was just at that age where I had a car and a girlfriend, and I kind of didn't care about video games or movies, so they had to be outstanding to keep my attention.
Boo. I've always loved Mortal Kombat. Even when I had a boyfriend and a car, I still loved Mortal Kombat. And to this day, at 39, I still love Mortal Kombat. It's one of my favorite video games of all time. It's one of the original. It's one of my favorite mid-90s movies. I named my dog after Sonya Blade. Like, I love it. So I know that this one's going to be painful because this movie isn't great, objectively. Because you see, I am committed to the Shat The Movies scoring system, unlike some people on this podcast that allow nostalgia glasses to get in the way. And I'm not going to allow that on this one because it's not awesome. But if Big D can overscore Flash, then maybe I can give this one a little bit of a nicer treatment than the two of you.
Well, this is the newer, improved Big D. This is the kinder, gentler, sentimental. After some introspection after Flash Gordon, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, so I'm going to open my mind and expand what I believe to be quality films and to try to see something from other people's point of view more than I've before. And these Mortal Kombat movies, I had played the video game but never seen the movies before Will C. commissioned the original earlier this year from 95. I had not seen any of them. I had no interest to it. And going back and looking at my score, I gave the original 4.5. In retrospect, that is an injustice. That's offensive.
Yes.
And I apologize to you, Will C., because the original is Citizen Kane compared to this 90-minute Sega Genesis CD cutscene of a movie. This barely qualifies as a movie. This is like, I don't know if either of you had the Sega CD, where in between the actual DVD ones, the ROM would boot up and you'd get the pixelated action scenes with the really bad dialogue. That's what this is. This did not deserve to be released in the theater, and I'm shocked.
Are we going to get an apology too, Gene and I? Because you gave one to Will C, but I feel like you owe one to Gene and I too for that Mortal Kombat podcast episode.
I'm sorry that I was not more respectful of your opinions and memories of that film. And Ash, I can imagine how the joy that game brought you and the sentimentality you have for that time in your life is something that I should value more since you are a friend of mine. So next time I will take your feelings into consideration before I try to destroy something that you love and hold so dearly.
Because of tournament rules that you didn't pay attention to.
It was unimportant. The rules were unimportant. This film didn't even pretend to have a plot, so I'm not going to ask for
This is a new leaf. This is a new leaf. I like it.
It'll last about 10 minutes.
Fuck it. I just want to dance. Let's hit the trailer.
Shao-Kahn, Emperor of Outerworld.
The Earth was created in 6 days, so too shall it be destroyed.
Your planet, Outworld, has begun to merge into one realm. Think of it as hell on Earth.
I thought our victory closed those portals.
Mother. If I am correct, your mother Sindel is the key to all of this. By reuniting you with her, Khan's spell will be broken.
This is the beginning of the end!
Khan's portals stay open.
Pretty cool, huh?
Raiden?
It's a new look.
Outworld Emperor Shao-Kahn opens a portal to Earthrealm and has resurrected Queen Sindel to facilitate his invasion. Thunder God Raiden and Earthrealm warriors Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, and Johnny Cage try to defend themselves, but Khan kills Cage. Sonya Blade enlists the help of her Special Forces partner Major Jackson Jax Briggs, and they team up to defeat Cyber Ninja Cyrax. They split up, and Sonya is attacked by the assassin Melina. Sonya defeats Melina, and Jax appears to rescue her from a gargoyle monster. While searching for a shaman named Nightwolf, Liu and Kitana are attacked by the cyber ninja Smoke and are saved by Sub-Zero before Scorpion appears and kidnaps Kitana.
Well, if you can't tell from that explanation and that plot bucket, there's a lot going on in the opening of this movie. And this is one of the films that I paused to see how much time had passed and couldn't believe so little had passed because the amount of shit that they packed into that time period. So I paused at 5 minutes and 34 seconds exactly when I was watching this movie. So let's talk about what's in 5 minutes and 34 seconds. Not only do we have a previously on regarding the first movie, we've got slow motion people flying through the air for no reason, but it is incredible. We've got Raiden 6 times flipping over toward Shao-Kahn, who was 6 times flipping over toward him. But do they fight? Oh no, they land and have a normal face-to-face conversation, not even with raised voices. You've got Johnny, slow motion flying through the air and losing his sunglasses. You've got characters being teleported. You've got the big bad apparently supporting Christian ideology with the world being created in 6 days, and that's the reason for this movie. Like, guys, 5 minutes, 34 seconds, it felt like a fucking freight train.
So granted, the first movie, I knew the characters. You have the main original characters. This is based off of, I guess, a video game, the third one. The cast is gigantic. There's characters coming out for they're killed. Even Khan starts killing off some of his supporters. You know, they're just burning through characters. And I'm questioning, I don't need rules. I just need some basic understanding. Is this the immediately following the previous movie, which I'm figuring out it is, but they're spewing all kinds of information. Now, it seems like they're expecting, okay, the ultimate power, we got the elder gods, and then they're talking about the human spirit, and I'm like, holy shit, how did we get here?
Now, in the movie's defense, if you put yourself back in 1997 shoes, those of us who played Mortal Kombat, you get pumped every time you see a character show up or even mentioned. You're like, oh shit, there they are. You know, you're snapping your fingers, you're pointing at the screen like Leonardo DiCaprio. Mm-hmm. But the main thing that Ash is focusing on is absolutely right. So much shit was going on that we missed the fact that Johnny Cage died.
Yep.
When he got lifted up on that stone thing, I thought, is he like sleeping? Do they have to go find some gem to wake him back up? Does someone have to kiss him? Like, what's going on? And we don't see a lot of previously on footage in movies nowadays. But Mortal Kombat Annihilation spends the first few minutes reminding us of shit that went down. It just reminded us that the original Mortal Kombat from 1995, it wasn't great, but this one is so much worse.
But there should have been a big moment that you're killing one of our favorite cast members. And when there's no weight, there's no consequences, I can't buy into it.
Well, Ash said he lost his sunglasses. That tells you.
Yeah, he's gone.
It's symbolic.
Okay. Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone.
It's kind of like they wanted this one to be a video game because that's what happens in the video game, right? Is somebody major gets killed and like you keep moving and you keep going. And they also did that keep it on going with the cast list because I absolutely love when a movie has a casting change between 1 and 2 and they treat it like nothing's different. Because this one you get a new Raiden, you get a new Sonya and more, and you can immediately tell that it's like a lesser casting. It's not that the first movie was so good. They recast, the redhead vampire in Twilight with Bryce Dallas Howard in the third one because the movies got popular, right? And this one, they recast it and you get, Dexter's dad in a bad white wig. And Sonya's shirt somehow, guys, is tighter. Her boobs are bigger and her furrowed brow much more pronounced.
Lesser casting. It's like they took the first movie stunt doubles and then used them as the cast.
Yes.
Only they also sucked at stunts. Back in the day, if you were playing against someone in Mortal Kombat 3, speaking of the video game, and they picked Jax chances were you were fucked, because Jax was a character that was hard to master, but in the right hands, he could be devastating. This movie, this live action representation made no sense with Jax. You first see him, he's locked in cuffs that he can break because he has fucking cyber arms. Why would you lock him in cuffs he could break? Which, by the way, just slide off. It's not like a part of his body. And what's his special ability? His arms are 4 times, not 400, 4 times stronger than normal dude arms. So he spends a whole movie just punching things hard. But most punch strength doesn't come from the arm, right? It's coming from the ground, through your legs, through your hips, through your core. His fists aren't metal. He's got normal guy hands. It would be like putting dicks on the end of Baraka's blade arms and asking him to fight.
Oh, they would slap the shit out of somebody with those dicks.
I don't know what you're doing with your dick. Jesus.
I mean, we learned from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, you could beat a man to death with a large enough sex toy. So it's possible. But Ash, isn't it true that Jax's, like, one of his moves is he punches the ground, right? And creates an earthquake?
Yes.
I think that's more than 4 times a normal punch, but I'm going to let it go. Gene, I almost had to take off your social justice warrior cape because Jax's lines are unbelievable, and they're too good to be true. So it's, yo, I'll take homeboy. And then there's another one, I wish I had these muscles in high school. Or when he kills a guy, that's what I'm talking about. Or, damn, looks like these girls having a bad hair day. But my favorite was, damn, you barbecued his ass. This is so, how did this actor, this was no voiceover, nothing later added in post. These were lines that he got in his script and said, man, this is going to be my big break.
I think the saddest part is that Jax, in the movies and the video games, it's never the same dude twice. Get Cuba Gooding Jr. He's not doing anything after Judgment Night. Get him in here.
Ricky!
He'd be the tiniest little Jax.
Even someone who doesn't understand fight scenes like me gets how dumb any of these fight scene choices are. Like, for example, why is Liu Kang flipping backwards over the missile instead of, like, running away from the missile? Why would Sub-Zero not, I don't know, jump over that tiny hole or that ravine instead of, like, Peter Panning his way on an ice string that he creates into the fight in what looks like fucking slow motion? And also, did you notice that all of their weapons slightly bend whenever they fight with them? The guys with what are supposed to be lead pipes, but they're really clearly pool noodles. And Kitana, the worst of all, when she's fighting with her fans, but they're all, like, layered on top of each other. It's clearly foam.
They're foam. Yeah,
they're clearly 6 inches thick. And I just don't get it. But I do have to say one positive here, because Ryley, I apologize, we're shitting on this like crazy, but I was really happy to be able to see Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero is my favorite character in all of Mortal Kombat. And I loved him coming on screen, but then he takes his fucking mask off. Like, guys, Sub-Zero is not scary without his mask on, and add to it his little, like, slice over his eye. And then he has that terrible fight with Scorpion where he creates the ice dummy of himself. Looks badass in the game, but here, no.
This goes back to what I was saying during the Flash Gordon episode. When a live action adaptation tries to present everything that happens in game on screen, you end up with a terrible movie. The reboot of Mortal Kombat from 2021, it gets it right. You do a couple wowzers special effects, but you ground the rest of an action movie in reality. The fighting should look real. Imagine if this movie had just bonkers good kung fu 95% of the time, and maybe Sub-Zero just freezes a person. We don't need CGI. Just he touches a dude, you throw on some icy blue makeup, make the dude look like a corpsicle. It's easy, it's effective, it looks so much better.
This is like a dance movie, Gene. It's like capoeira, the Brazilian, like the dance martial arts. This felt like it was a stage production of a fighting scene, where no one's trying. There's one part where I think it's Liu Kang and one of the robots, maybe Smoke, is doing just spinning, like they're trying to outdo each other with the amount of gyrations they can do.
No, my favorite is there's one scene where Kitana kicks the guy and the guy reacts and throws himself backwards, but there's at least 1.5 feet between her foot and his body.
The director's just like, got it, next shot.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the cinematographer from Mortal Kombat 1.
Yes.
Raiden meets with the Elder Gods and asks them why Khan was allowed to break the tournament rules on Big D's behalf. One god says that reuniting Kitana with her mother, Sindel, is the key to breaking Khan's hold on Earthrealm, but another Elder God insists that the defeat of Khan himself is the solution. Raiden is then asked by the Elder Gods about his feelings and obligation toward the mortals and what he would be willing to do to ensure their survival.
So I think this film is consistent. I think it suffers in all areas: the script, the production, the actors, the special effects. But the area that got me the most and bothered me the most was the sound editing. Now, I don't know if either of you found this, but I was listening to it at night, listening with my headphones on, nothing fancy, and I was shocked to discover that the tracks, they're not always in stereo, that there was some kind of anomaly where the music would be in one ear, then the dialogue in the other. It would switch left to right. It was almost like it was a mono track. I thought it was 3D. I had to look it up because it was like they were trying to trick me to turn around because my left ear had the audio and I felt like somebody was behind my couch. But no, that was just the audio track so badly mastered. I could not even focus because when the theme came on and I was rocking, only my right ear was rocking.
If you've ever wondered why Shat The Movies sounds so good when other movies podcasts sound so bad, it's because Big D is a massive audiophile. He is so picky about the audio quality. I didn't notice Big D. I did not notice because I was too busy howling at the visual effects in this movie. Fuck the sound. What I was seeing on screen was bad. It wasn't just bad by today's standards. This was god-awful by 1997 standards. Shit, this was awful by Ghostbusters 2 standards. The characters all looked clunky. The props, as Ash said, terrible. Environmental effects, like the sky and the wind and shit, were so sad that I couldn't even bring myself to laugh at them.
I don't know. I think the worst part was like you could tell that they had like no budget. And so it's like, okay, guys, we get these wires for like one day. And then they tried to shove as many people on wires kicking shit. And then they just animated like these weird halo glows around them to make them look like they were some sort of like futuristic type of special effect. It was so bad.
I thought the film was made with Windows Movie Maker. There's a part like where you can see that they were trying to do the green screen, but the green from the green screen would bleed into the outline of the actor where you could see it. And you could see that it was cut out where the stray hairs were being removed to have the backdrop there. Forget about that. I'm trying to be the new and improved Big D, so I'm trying not to get upset about the plot. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to let it wash over me. I'm going to absorb what's going on screen, but it was just nonstop. It was a string of nonsensical, mystical mumbo jumbo that I was like, what the fuck is going on? And Raiden, usually, he's the one who's spouting it. And I can't tell if he's trying to help them because he's trying to give them cryptic answers instead of just something that would help them on their mission. And then when he does give them info, it's usually contradicts something he said earlier. So I got the feeling that this was maybe Khan or a body double. So I'm really going into it. I'm thinking there's something going on, but it's not. Because he starts off, we're going to be stronger together. But then he immediately tells them to separate. The explanation sucks. Oh, the Earth's inner wind. You'll move so fast, it's like you're not moving at all. What does that mean, Raiden? Tell us what to do. But he's not the only character spewing this bullshit. We get some doozies like a struggling worm on a hook gets the bigger fish than a dead one, or faith in yourself is all you need. I thought we needed teamwork. I thought we needed to improve. We need to pass a test. No, Liu Kang, you must find your inner strength, your animality. That's what drives you. This movie is all over the place, and I'm not surprised they're confused at how to beat the Horde. I think a fortune cookie could have written half of Raiden's lines. You will go on a long adventure and meet someone interesting. Thanks, Raiden. How about you tell me how to beat Khan?
Take care of each other. You're a family now.
Your lucky numbers are 47, 52, 18.
Liu finds Nightwolf, who teaches him about the power of animality. To acquire his shape-shifting power, Liu must pass 3 tests. The first test is a trial of his self-esteem, courage, and focus. The second comes in the form of temptation, which manifests itself in the form of the mysterious Jade. The third test is never revealed. Liu accepts Jade's help and takes her with him to the Elder God's temple, where he and his friends meet with Raiden, whom they learn has sacrificed his immortality to freely fight alongside them.
All right, let's talk animality. This power was introduced in Mortal Kombat 3 as a finisher. And if you're unfamiliar with the game, basically the player you're playing as, if you're finishing somebody, which like is this awesome way to kill them, right? It's like very dramatic. The player you're playing as turns into an animal to finish off your opponent. And here's the deal. Animality was fine, but like most things in Mortal Kombat, it was like really hit or miss, depending on who you were playing as. And so like Baraka, who I love, Baraka was amazing. He turned into a vulture and he would fly in and he'd rip your opponent's body in half and fly off with the half that he ripped off. Liu Kang was a dragon. So some were great, but some were dumb as fuck. Like some of my favorites, Johnny Cage turned into a kangaroo and he would just kick his opponent off screen. Raiden turned into an electric eel and shocked his opponent to death, of course. And some were really, really fucking weird. Like Scorpion would turn into a penguin and lay an exploding egg at the feet of the person that he's killing. Melina, she turned into a skunk and she would like spray out the skunky stuff and like stink out her opponent. And it's just one of those things that's fine in a video game. But when you try to film it, it is so ridiculous.
You know, when they were spitballing ideas for these add-ons to the game, that the first guy said, so you turn into a beast, bestialities. And they're like, no, we can't call it that. Anybody got another name? Yeah. Animalities. Yeah, that's much better, much better. But Gene, also in this part of the movie, we get the big transformation. We already know Raiden is no help in this fight for survival to stop Annihilation. And I understand, like now plot-wise, why he has to go through this change to become mortal, to fight along, like, you know, the other fighters, Earth's greatest heroes. I understand that. But I don't know why it came along with like a Gap makeover. He went from like this mystical, lightning god into like a dude with like short hair, conservative haircut. He's got a pair of khaki colored, like whatever pants they were. Yes, they were tied up at the bottom, but from a distance, he looks like a suburban American dad. He's not the god of lightning, and the visuals were jarring. So I'm like, okay, something's going on here. This is a body double. Maybe the actor had cut his hair, but I'm like, that wasn't his hair. But I found myself actually thinking this. I wish Christopher Lambert was still in this film. And that's something I never thought I would think.
James Remar, when he gets changed into like mortal Raiden, you can tell that he thinks in the movie, they've given them direction that you look pretty badass. Like the crowd is going to be like, whoa, shit, look at new Raiden. But it just made me miss Christopher Lambert, just like you, Big D. And I understand that Mortal Kombat isn't going to be peak fashion. This isn't a stylish film by any means. But none of the costumes even make sense. Like Sonya is supposed to be a special forces officer. She runs around in hiking boots, Tomb Raider shorts, and a magic white tank top that self-cleans. Every other woman character has an insanely frumpy corset. Whoever made these things should be fired immediately and never work in Hollywood again. And Raiden's just chilling in his PJs before his makeover, and then he goes to suburban dad mode.
I think that I kind of dig some of them for a really weird reason. And after reading your notes, I was like reflecting, like, why does this not bother me? Why does this not bother me? And then I realized why. In the same time period, there's another franchise that I love, which is Power Rangers. And the Power Rangers bad guys and even the Power Rangers themselves look very similar to the types of like clothing that they wear in this. Like Rita's got that frumpy corset. Like they just have that look. So I feel like the mid-90s for like bad girl, video game comic book adaptation, like they all look the same. And here's the deal. At least none of them are in fucking heels, which I love because that would have been ridiculous.
$30 million and you put Power Rangers on screen. It's unforgivable.
Power Rangers, though. Power Rangers is amazing.
But also, didn't Raiden have a hat?
Yeah, he's famous for his hat.
Where'd his hat go?
I think James Remar doesn't do hats.
No, it's in his contract.
He was probably proud of his hair. This was probably a Dennis Leary moment.
Liu rescues Kitana while fighting Baraka and Shiva. The others incapacitate Sindel, but she remains under Khan's control and escapes. Jade reveals herself to be a double agent sent by Khan, and Khan feeds her to the gargoyle monster for her failure. Raiden reveals that Shao-Kahn is his brother and that the former elder god Shinnok is their father. Raiden and the Earthrealm warriors make their way to Khan, Sindel, and his remaining generals, Motaro and Ermac. After refusing to join his brother and father, Raiden is killed by an energy blast from Shao-Kahn.
So a lot of these characters have that one fight trait that defines them. That's a big piece of Mortal Kombat. They've got like 3 moves. But they also have these personality traits in this movie that also define them, that remain like really consistent. So you've got Liu Kang. He's good, just like pure good, like all the time. Jax, he's mad. He's like mad all the time. You had your favorite lines. My favorite line, Big D, is when Jack says, like, I've known you 2 minutes and you're already dissing me, right? Like, he's just pissed constantly. Raiden, what's his trait? He's mischievous and kind of strange. Sonya, she's mission driven. And I think that that's another reason why this movie feels so wooden. These characters are so flat because they act like they fight, which is just like 1 to 2 identifiers. And it's like they can't ever have anything dynamic.
Flat and stereotypical. It's like they took, I don't know, some video game developers for the 90s and they said, all right, let's make some characters. Okay, black guy, go. Okay, sexy Asian chick, go. And they just couldn't help themselves with Nightwolf. American, Indian, shaman, spirit quest, warrior wolf. It's like the triple Lindy of tropes.
Oh, so perfect. So perfect.
But a lot of things that make this movie stupid are the same things that made it faithful to the game. Ash, when we were playing Mortal Kombat 10 on Twitch, we commented a ton on how the character abilities seemed really mismatched and uneven. Annihilation really drives that one home. So Liu Kang, he can turn into a fucking dragon. Raiden can shoot lightning. Motaro, he gets to be a half horse. Like, his powers consist of turning around, kicking, stomping, and tail whipping. Sonya apparently just falls down a lot. And then you get the fights. Like, anybody who's played Mortal Kombat with me knows I spam the jump button and the high kick, which is pretty much the entirety of Raiden's fight with Sindel and her ninja. So I'm starting to think that this bad fight choreography is actually just trying to make it match what people do, especially novice players, in the actual video game.
Yeah, and also you get the missing things. Like, Sonya's missing her gun, which makes her a killer. Like, what the fuck is Sonya supposed to do? This was a game that when it came out, it was created before you could do really cool shit with a controller. So everybody had like their 1 or 2 things, like the up, down, shoot, right? And now that controllers can do so much, they've added to the game. And like you were saying, Gene, when you and I play, like it's like amazing. You can even pick up the people in the background and like throw them at the characters. And it just becomes really, really fun. But here, they didn't develop that. You still get that 1-2 punch and it reads really, really wooden on the screen.
Yeah, I do not need more button options. I do not need more complex combo moves because I admittedly, I suck at Mortal Kombat. Memorizing the combinations was never good. Maybe I did a fatality once or twice, but I could not remember multiple characters. That is with the exception of Baraka. Baraka I did like because he's the easiest. It's to do the blade swipe, it's back and high punch. The chop, the blades he does is the back, low punch. You could just blast those buttons and do them. The double kick is the high kick twice rapidly. I could do that. So I'm excited. I'm like, yes, Gene, I'm that fan. The one character I really know, I'm like, yes, Baraka, here he comes. And it turned immediately into a pile of shit and utter disappointment. He looks nothing like a nomadic mutant with the teeth. He looked like a bag of shit. He looked like the leftover like outfit they'd had from maybe the stunt double of Sloth with some big foam blades tied to him. He looked so bad that they could not get him to stop once and shoot him in the light because you would see how bad it was.
None of Baraka's abilities or character design need excessive special effects. You don't need a computer to do any of this. You get a guy, you put some actual blades on him, and then a little bit of makeup and you're set. He's straight up wearing a fucking Halloween mask. It's not even makeup. They put a mask on this guy. He looks like one of those chicks off the Aphex Twin window licker video. It's not scary. It's just weird. He escaped the carnival somewhere.
He did.
Jax, Sonya, and Kitana emerge victorious over Khan's generals, and Liu's animality reveals Khan is now mortal as a consequence of breaking the sacred rules. 2 of the Elder Gods arrive, having uncovered Shinnok's treachery, and declare that the fate of Earth shall be decided in Mortal Kombat. Liu defeats Khan, and Shinnok is banished to the Netherrealm. Earthrealm reverts to its former state, and Raiden is revived by the Elder Gods, who bestow upon him his father's former position.
So I understand the popularity of disaster movies. We've done a bunch here in the podcast, from Twister to one of my favorites, Armageddon. It's cool to see iconic cities and landmarks destroyed. You really like it. It's something people can get behind. It's something you don't see all the time. But Mortal Kombat took a really strange approach, and for some reason I just don't understand. I'm assuming it's budgetary, right? Because the special effects budget and the costumes seemed really limited. And instead of doing a cool special effect, as we see, the realms merging and destruction around, all we keep getting is like kind of vague comments like, oh, all of nature is dying. We only have a few more days. And then out of the blue, we start getting these unexplained still images that look like they're photoshopped being pushed up through the ground. It's the Twin Towers. We got the Golden Gate Bridge. We got the Eiffel Tower. And they're rising up out of the ground. But I don't know why. Did somebody go out and con? Did he collect these? Are these iconic like places on Earth? Or was this is there some context to this? Like in the game, there was some extra board where you would fight in these big cities of the world. Is this something? Please tell me this is something in the game and not done just for like a visual trick.
I think you answered your own question. It's the merging of the realms. They had to show iconic places. If they just showed trees coming up out of the ground or like a building, you'd be like, I don't know what that is. This is Earth's treasures coming in the outer world. And it's not like Shao-Kahn wants to hang out in Paris. No. He wants the Eiffel Tower to be brought to his shitty, crumbling front yard. That's the game.
This is where this movie starts to really fall apart. Like the special effects, the poor acting, the poor fight sequences. It's just getting almost unwatchable by this point in the movie. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to give this 5 wipes. This sucks because I love Mortal Kombat. And then they say the words. They say Mortal Kombat and the music kicks up and it's, the whole dun 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 dun. I'm like, fuck, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't like it. This is like medieval times level acting, right? Dun 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 dun. And I'm like, shit, like I am in it. Like in that moment, like I'm excited. I'm amped. I'm like, fuck yeah. I am like sold on this movie. And what that tells me is not that the movie's good, but this music still fucking works.
No, the music works in stereo. It does not work in mono. I'm getting the music in the right ear, and then I'm getting the get over here from my left ear, which startles me. This was just unnerving. It distracted from the one part of the movie I should have embraced.
But just as fast as it kicks up, the music starts to fall apart. The CGI is hilariously bad throughout the movie. We've established that. But it gets tragic in the final fight between Liu Kang and Khan. I'm talking dancing baby bad CGI. It's so terrible that it starts bleeding into the music. So Ash, they got that techno soundtrack going. Suddenly synthesizers are breaking. The beat is totally lost. And I feel like they hired the industry's worst computer animators, put together the best thing they can do in one drunken Saturday night. And then once they got that on a hard drive, someone hacked into that, shit on it. My jaw was on the ground. This is the worst animation I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. I've seen this movie multiple times and I didn't remember how bad it was. It's like I have like intentionally blocked it out. I need like EMDR to like uncover my repressed memories of seeing Mortal Kombat Annihilation because I did not remember how horrible it was.
It was offensive. It offended me. It offended me as somebody choosing to dedicate time to watch this movie. And I apologize, Ryley, but I can't believe that this animality battle at the end with these two dragons fight, I can't believe they put it on screen. It looks like test footage. It looks like concept art. Like somebody had applied and said, hey, man, I could do special effects. I got a computer. Really, dude? Let's do it. 3D model away. At some point, the producers had to have seen this footage and said, okay, we got 2 choices. Scrap the fight. Let's go back to they have to fight hand to hand. They're mortals. Let's do something. But somebody made the choice to say, no, you know what? This is good enough. Let's put it up on screen. And to me, that's disrespectful. You're disrespecting the fans who love the game, who paid money in 97 to sit down and watch this. And they're waiting for this epic battle. There is no one that could have left this theater thinking that that last final scene was nothing but a slap in the face.
They're a family, though. So they're just going to take care of each other now. It's a happy ending.
As long as they stick together and find their inner strength, because that's where it is. And, that fucking Raiden says, hey, guys, I can't kill my brother. Good luck. And leaves.
He's going to be watching them, though. He's going to be watching them.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. I'm sure Raiden will be watching.
Riley, before we get to this last part of the podcast, I think you know what's coming. I want you to sit down. I want you to brace yourself. Maybe put a pillow behind your neck. Maybe spark one. Now is the time in the podcast we give our Shat score. The Shat score is our way of telling you how many wipes this movie takes to get off your respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It is dying at the beginning of the movie, so you don't have to live through the rest of it. R.I.P. Johnny Cage.
Love it.
And 5 wipes is an absolute disaster movie. It's when you get a second chance at casting Raiden and still decide to go with the white guy, and you make that white guy James Remar. I'll go first. I spent half this movie thinking I owed the original Mortal Kombat an apology. And then at some point, I decided I owed Willow an apology.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation had so many characters that deaths meant nothing. The effects were terrible. The martial arts, the one thing this movie needs to get right, were god awful. The only thing saving this movie from 5 wipes, as Ash said, is a really fun soundtrack, including, oddly enough, KMFDM, Megadeth, and Rammstein. I'm giving it 4 3/4 wipes.
Gene, you're a coward.
The music was good.
You just said that they had problems with the bad visuals was bleeding into the audio. You admit they even fucked up the theme.
But not completely.
Oh, you coward. You're not brave enough, Gene. I got to give you 3 tests to make sure you're worthy of being on this podcast.
Start with the temptation.
Ryley, I barely made it through this. Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the dialogue is terrible. The story makes no sense. The fight scenes are tedious. It's the same moves, the same breakaway foam walls and foam bricks, and the same 4 sets. This should have been a direct to VHS title. Anyone who was associated in the production of this film, and not the actors, because I understand you got to take the roles you can. You got to get a payday. But anybody from the studio down to the actual people who greenlit this, you should be ashamed of yourselves that you took money from fans of this IP and you would just do this to somebody. Some kid probably worked on their paper route. Some kid walked dogs, cut lawns to get the $450 to go see this, and you shit on them. That you took a big old dump right on their chest and said, thanks for coming. Go buy Mortal Kombat 4 when it comes out. I can't take it. 5 wipes. This is pretty bad.
Wow. That was angry.
I'm going to even say this. I would have rather watched you two play Mortal Kombat, and I'm just watching it for 2 hours.
I mean, that's pretty fun. Yeah.
The last time we played, we were so fucking drunk when we were playing. I don't even remember what happened. So
I threw a child at you. I remember that.
I threw an old lady at you first, so it was fine. This movie, yes, it's bad. It's bad. But is it the worst? No. Is it silly and lame? Absolutely. But I love this era of video games, and I love the 90s attempt to make a video game into a movie. And I also think that, we've already mentioned, that it's perfect that we're reviewing this on the night of the premiere of The Last of Us, because I watched that before we recorded. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's absolutely phenomenal. If the first episode is anything of what the rest of the series is going to be, it's going to earn its 98% Rotten Tomatoes ranking. It was incredible. And this show, The Last of Us, shows us what these adaptations eventually would be able to do, what they would be able to be, because there's 2 shot-by-shot scenes in The Last of Us season opener that are from the video game, but they don't feel like a video game. And it's easy to do that when it's a video game like The Last of Us. Mortal Kombat is a video game that requires 2 people to fight each other on one plane of existence. It wasn't that dynamic of a game to really make a whole narrative out of. And the first one I adore. And this one shows just how thin that source material is, for sure. So it isn't good, but I enjoyed part of it. I loved the music. I laughed in parts, whether it was intentional or not, but it's definitely over a 4. So I'm going with a 4.5, a very painful but a loving 4.5 for what I think is one of the greatest video game franchises that has ever and will ever exist.
So with 4.5 wipes from Ash, 4 3/4 wipes from me, and 5 wipes from Big D that gives us an average wipe score of 4.75 wipes for Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
So, Gene, with a wipe score of 4.75, this movie now belongs where it does, the underworld. This is just underground. This is at the very bottom of Shat The Movies. Is it all the way at the bottom? No, which I think it needs to be. This is now tied in the 287 spot with two other movies, Tequila Sunrise and Krull. Krull is better than this.
Krull is better than this.
Way better than this.
They're both so bad.
The Fire Mares, that's better than any special effects.
It's all shitty.
Willow, better than this.
I thought Flash Gordon was just this bad.
No, you're crazy. I'd even watch Speed 2. Speed 2 was better than this. We got the Ice Cream Bandits and Gene being like, we're going 4 knots. 4 knots. Hold on to something. We're going 4 knots.
Well, Ryley, I hope that you think this podcast was a 1 when you're high and maybe at least a 4 when you're sober. Thank you so much for your commission. Let's get to the mailbag with the last few minutes we've got left. The first one comes from Dean writing in about Indiana Jones.
When Dean says, morning, while listening to the Dark City review, I heard you mention the theory that Indiana Jones could have stayed home and the Nazis would still have died. While that is basically true, that's not the end of the story. Without Dr. Jones, Marion Ravenwood is either horribly scarred or dead. She wasn't going to give up her necklace without a fight. While she's tough, Marion would not have been able to fight off the Nazis alone. Also, without Dr. Jones, the Ark of the Covenant would have been found by someone else after the Nazis had all died. It would have become an even deadlier Jumanji without the fun of turning into someone else. Thanks for the great podcast. I hope to commission a movie in the future, but you have already covered so many of my favorite flicks, so I'm not sure which one to pick. Hope you have a great day, and Ashley, don't drink the water. Dean.
But one thing that wouldn't have happened if Dr. Jones didn't exist, those high school girls would have had their virginity. Dr. Jones wouldn't have been banging.
They were in college. They were not in high school. He's a college professor.
No, if you go back, I talk about the fact that there is audio tape of Spielberg discussing with Lucas about how exciting it would be that Dr. Jones is having sex with her and she's 14 years old. And then they talk about, no, she should be a little bit older, but then it's not as exciting. They made her a child when Indy was banging her.
Oh, no, but we're talking about Marion. But as far as the high school kids, he was on sabbatical, so he must have been a college professor.
He's a college professor.
Oh, so you think that was only
Dr. Jones.
So you think Marion is the only 14-year-old he was banging? That's his type.
Oh, my God.
You threw us off with the word those high school kids.
Those women. The next one comes from Andy T. And Andy says, hey, Shat Crew, I'd like to commission the 1983 movie Strange Brew. Let me know if this is acceptable and can be added to the calendar. Thanks, take care, and have a happy Thanksgiving while we're behind. Andy T.
Well, thanks, Andy. Happy Thanksgiving to you from Shat The Movies in January. I love Strange Brew. I would love to do it again. I don't think we've done a hockey movie.
But it's not a hockey movie. What are you talking about?
I was thinking of
You're talking about Slap Shot.
God damn it.
This is about those two Canadian brothers who they go up to this brewery up north, because
even better.
And something mysterious is going on in the actual brewery, but it's those two dudes. It's funny. I like Canadians. They're good
something
people.
Something strange, you might say.
Yeah, something strange is in the brew. But I remember enjoying it. There's probably hockey. There's probably hockey in the peripherals of this movie.
I don't know. I've never seen it, but I say yes. I say yes to every movie.
It's got Rick Moranis.
Oh, then yes, definitely yes.
Unless that was Slapshot.
Oh, God.
Thanks for writing in. I hope you have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.
The next one comes from Shane in Canada, and Shane also has a movie request, and he says, hi, love the show. I want a commission, but don't know if you can find it. It's the 1997 movie The Wrong Guy, starring David Foley. If it's available in America, I'll commission it. If not, no worries. Your fan in Canada.
Shane, you have great taste in actors. Dave Foley is absolutely hilarious. I have never seen The Wrong Guy, but I would love to do it. And it is available in the US, so we can do it. If you'd like to commission it, get in touch with Big D. Let's get this going.
Hold on 1 second. I believe, hold on. I believe that one is. Hold on. I'm thinking.
No, it is. I know because I checked.
Oh, okay.
I just make shit up.
Well, the next one continuing is from Mohammed. And Mohammed says, hi, all. Wanted to reach out and say I love the podcast. I've been working from home for the last 2 years since the pandemic started, and now it looks like we're going to be virtual for the foreseeable future. Been a hell of an adjustment. Usually I like talking to people and stuff, so I really liked finding your podcast. I enjoy how every one of you brings a different, unique perspective to reviewing film and how you disagree on things, but respectfully. I really enjoy the podcast and look forward to it every week. P.S. I also enjoy the unique perspective that Ashley brings to the podcast, especially when she disagrees with you guys. Respectfully, Mohammed.
I know we came in pretty close to one another's scores on this one, but if you didn't check it out, check out last episode, Flash Gordon, because I don't think we've been more far apart on our wipe scores on any movie and disagreed more. And also Big D was completely off his rocker.
But yet, you and I were still so respectful to him. So thank you, Mohammed. Even when he's wrong, we're still respecting.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
Yeah, well, the heart never wanted that.
It did.
Well, the next one comes from Tony. And Tony says, hi, all. I just want to recommend a film for you to watch as it's a cult classic over here in the UK. It's called Dead Man's Shoes. It's written and directed by Shane Meadows, plus it stars Paddy Considine. And I think only his second role in a film. While you recently watched the Game of Thrones spinoff starring Paddy, it reminded me of this film, which is easily his best. Plus, with your next film being Dead Man, I took it as an omen to recommend it to you. Trust me, you'll love it. And as soon as you start allowing 2,000 films to be reviewed, I'll commission it. Cheers to you all, Tony. P.S. I can't believe they're not your real names. Was this common knowledge? Cheers to you all.
I like that Tony kind of buried the lead on that one. He's like, oh, it's this great movie. It's got Paddy Considine. It's directed by Shane Meadows. It's big in the UK. It's from the 2000s. You had me until that point, Tony.
I think that we should totally start taking movies in the 2000s, and someone should commission Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Somebody did.
Oh, yay!
Yeah,
someone commission. I have a list of others that people can commission from the early 2000s.
But also, Tony, don't feel bad. I think it's because like at the movies I think it's an American thing. I don't know if it was popular outside the States, but as a kid in the 80s, that was the place you would go to watch your trailers. When they reviewed the movies at the end, they would go through upcoming trailers. So it was must-see TV. And that's why I kind of assumed that everybody would know who it was, but I never expected us to reach around the globe. So that's why the explanation, I hope, helps.
Thanks, everyone, for writing in. Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, when high school nerd Scott Howard learns from his father Harold that being a werewolf runs in the family, he decides to take advantage of his freakish traits. With his newfound strength and agility, Scott quickly becomes the hero of the high school basketball team, while winning over longtime crush Pamela Wells. As he grows more popular, Scott worries he is being celebrated as a novelty rather than for who he is. And this was a selection of Steve W., who won our Fantasy Basketball League last year, released in 85. And we need more Michael J. Fox movies, so I think this one is perfect. And this one could be a very interesting review.
Hot Sauce Steve back in the house. Well, thank you, Hot Sauce Steve, for this upcoming commission. Thank you, Ryley, for commissioning Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And thank you to all the podcast listeners who make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat The Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat The Movies. You can email us, host@shatthemovies.com, or send us a voicemail by using the SpeakPipe feature. Just go to shatpod.com, click on the SpeakPipe, and use any device. You can also support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or commissioning your own movie. Find all the information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all the information on our website, shatpod.com/TV. Wherever fine podcasts can be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. It helps our podcast grow. On behalf of my co-host, Ash and Big D, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next time for the following movie.
For Michael J. Fox, life hasn't been easy.
Hello. Hi. I'm going through changes.
His voice is changing.
Give me a keg of beer.
Is there anything wrong with me?
He's got hair on his chest. he stopped being a boy.
What do you think about? Did you get worked up?
At last, he's become...
Scott? Scott Howard? This is your father speaking. Now open this door right this minute.
a wolf.
An explanation is probably long overdue.
Dad, an explanation? Look at me. Look at you.
He's always wanted to be something special, but he never expected this.
Then everybody be
Teen Wolf. He's got style.
There's something different about you. Did you change your hair?
He's got class.
wolf person. Wolf.
He's got hair all over his body.
Wolves aren't supposed to be shy.
He's a wolf in teen's clothing. And tonight is his night to howl. Teen Wolf, a new comedy with Michael J. Fox, star of Back to the Future.
God, what's that girl's name? The one who plays like the cheerleader, or she's in part of like the where they have like Get It On or like whatever.
Savage
it's like,
Fenty.
Fuck you.